Samantha from Jessama Tutorials here, and today we're gonna get into part 3 of our project tutorial. So first what we need to do is we need to bring over our alcohol ink sheets that we made a few weeks back. So this one I made yesterday. I recorded the tutorials yesterday because you want to use these fairly quickly. And you want to take a sheet of translucent, this is just Primo translucent, that's rolled out on your thinnest setting, and you want to smooth this over the surface, getting rid of air bubbles. And what this will do is it will mean that we can sand our project without worrying about accidentally sanding off our alcohol ink, which we don't want. And I've done this to the other one already. Okay, I'm just going to trim up the excess translucent. There we are, because you want to keep this stuff. Okay, then you're going to run that through your thickest setting, which all of the other ones have been rolled out on. But before you do that, just gently peel in these sides so that the translucent doesn't give you any trouble. Okay, then I'm going to run that through our pasta machine. Here we are. And that's what it looks like. So they're all now the same thickness. I'll bring over our other piece here. You can see I've done the translucent on that one too. And then here is our oyster watercolor that is also on that thick setting. So now what we want to do is we want to bring over our collar that we have chosen. So I've chosen my basic collar shape, and so that is what we are going to be working with. So first I want to just trim up over here so we have a nice flush edge, and also want to trim up over here. Don't want to have those bubbles, that don't work out so well. Okay, so we have a nice clean edge. And now I'm just going to bring this over here and work out where these pieces need to fit, and then I can trim them so that they all fit into each other. Okay. That work? Might want to bring this one up just a tad more. So there's a little bit of fiddling now, but that's fine. There we are. Okay. So now I need to work out where that begins. And I'll trim that away. And keep all of these extra pieces that you're cutting off. You can always use that in projects later on, because they're quite big pieces. Let me just... Okay. Then I want to trim up over here. And then we can fit those two together nicely. Okay. There we are. Right. Then let me just bring that over, touch up, and then we can press these two together so that they fit together nicely. And repeat the same on this side. And then you could take your collar out of this like that if you wanted to. But what I want to do is I don't like having these seams between the pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my fingers to gently smooth down over here so it kind of joins up. Okay, and work out where the middle is going to be. There you go. So I would cut it out over there. So I'm just gently going to press my collar down enough that I'm going to create an outline. Okay, and let me just move this up so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. There we go. So I can see that there's just a gentle line over here for me to see what I'm doing. Now I'm going to bring over those bits and pieces that I have left over from last time when we cut out our when we were cutting out our shapes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them and I'm going to overlap them like so. Gently overlap them like you would scales, and you just kind of want it in this area over here where the seam is, and that's why I have created a line so that I can see where my collar is, because I don't want to have to do the entire place. That would waste quite a bit of clay. Just going to take these, overlap them. There we are. Now you'll press down, sliding it in the direction of the scales. Just want to press it together a little bit so that we get that black edge showing. Okay. And we'll do the same on this side. And this is something I like to call a paint drip watercolor. So it kind of looks like that. Okay, and that I'm just going to take off because it's not in the line there. Okay, and I'm just using my fingers to press it for the most part. I'll use my roller in a minute. I'm not quite happy with that. It's a little too strong for my liking. Let me see. Here we go. Just bring over something to cover that up because I'm not happy with that. There we go. Okay, now I'll just bring over my roller. And we can roll that flat and it will get rid of that seam, and at the same time it will create an interesting effect. Okay, now I'm just going to try and smooth out that entire piece. There we go. And so you can see it looks really nice. Okay. Then I want to bring over my collar. And actually before I do this, I want to just gently smooth out these lines that I made earlier. Just because it's going to be quite hard now that we've rolled the entire piece to get those lines all matching up. So I'm just going to use my fingers to gently smooth out those lines. It shouldn't be too hard. Okay, so I've done that. Now I can just cut this out. Okay, and I want this to be positioned somewhat in the middle. Okay, and then I'm just going to stand up before I press so that I can get as much pressure on this as I can. And now there's a lot of sheet left here. You can cut that up and use it in other sheets. You can use it in pendants and all sorts of things. So don't go throwing it away, don't go doing anything, just go and store it and you'll be able to use it for many other things. Okay, so that should have cut cleanly. With such a large cutter it can be hard to make sure that you have cut everything just right. Now because of the seam here, I should be able to, yeah, there we go. Can separate each of these sheets. There we go. Okay. And I'll lift that up out the way. Oh, it's looking really nice. Okay. Just gently gonna smooth with my fingers. Okay, and then I'm gonna gently lift it up one side, because you don't want to lift it up all in one go. And lift it up on the other side. And then go the whole way around. Yeah, and slide the blade out. Okay, now I'll bring over the stand that I'm going to bake it on. Okay, so here it is on the stand. Now I've already got it into the position that I like, so it's nice and symmetrical on the stand. And now you'll see that we have all of these little bits around the edges. Don't worry too much about those at the moment. We can always get rid of those afterwards. So now what I want to do is I want to set this with the heat gun. So we'll just bring that over quickly. I'm going to put that on my medium setting. And I'm going to start heating. Okay, and you really want to bake it quite well. So start with a somewhat lower heat that is going to take a little while for the entire thing to bake through. But if you start with a really hot heat on your heat gun, you're going to bake this top instantly and the underside is going to be still quite raw. So you want it so that you'll be able to go for quite a long time to bake through basically a whole piece. So now you want to wait for it to cool down. And so while you're waiting, you can take a craft knife and gently trim away these little off bits. We'll take proper care of those later on, but just these little straggly bits that get left behind by cutters, you can easily trim those off. And it's easier to do now than it would be after baking it. Okay, and by now it should be cool. So let me just slowly, carefully work this off the stand. Now you can use a neck mandrel, you can use a template, you can use a bowl, anything you want to cut this to bake this, but I find that the stand works best. So I'm just going to put this off to the side for a second and get something to rest it on while it goes in the oven. Now excuse the awful colour, but this is my oven cloth, and so I've got another cloth under here, and this is just resting on top of one that's just going to keep it in a somewhat collar-like shape while it bakes for a full hour at Primo's recommended temperature. Once it is finished baking, while it is still hot, you want to take it back to your stand, press it onto the stand in the right shape, and spray with water to make it set on top of the stand. So I'll pop this in the oven, and then I'll show you what to do when it comes out. Okay, so it's just out of the oven and I've popped it onto the stand. Now I want to start spraying with water to get this to cool down. Okay, so now we are ready to apply our back. So I've managed to make 2 collars actually. This is the one that was made after this one, because I did have enough clay left to make another one, so I thought why not. So I just wanted to show you those 2. Okay, so now you want to do the backing. So I brought over that oyster watercolor, that oyster mica shift that I wasn't sure where it was going to fit in, and I have just twisted it in a way that I'm going to be able to pop this on the back of one of my pieces. So that's good. So let me just bring this over. And I'll pop this down in such a way that I'm going to be able to stick it on. Yeah. It's just going to be a little tricky to get it to work with me. Yeah. I'll just press down on the back here. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to press around these sides so that I can see where to cut. And now this sheet was run out on the middle setting of my pasta machine, in case you were wondering. Okay, I'm just pressing to get the outline of that cutter, of the collar. Okay. And I'm going to go around this side, just gently going to start pressing it, and this will help me cut it off as well. And this will just be a more interesting backing than one that would have been just made from a plain colour. There we go. Okay, I'll bring it around to the front and I'll bring over my craft knife. I'm just going to roughly cut out this middle bit because it's just quite big and just hanging there, and it's a little hard to maneuver this when that's there. There we go, much easier. Okay, now I'm just going to fold this over. And now this looks difficult, it's not, it's just, you have to just do a little bit at a time, slowly, and just make sure that it's properly forming onto the back. It's not difficult. Okay, now I'm going to start trimming along these edges. There we go, that's one. There we go, that's the one side, just remove that. It's the other side, last one. There we go. Okay, now these ends, just take it and gently pinch away the clay that's left over. Okay, and now what I like to do is I like to go around the edges and just press on that flush cut that you got from your craft knife, so that it just has a little bit of a bevel on the edge. And this is just something that I like the look of. And you can smooth away any clay that's left that shouldn't be there. So you'll just do that for that. And I'm also going to do the same for this one. It's just the backing is going to be plain pearl white this time, I think. Okay, so what I've done for the other one is I blended what clay was left from the oyster mica shift, so that it created this kind of light silver colour. Then I rolled that out on my third thin setting and ripped it up so that now I can do a dragon scale mica shift on the back, and that is what I have been doing. So I just wanted to show you the last little bit so you can do the same if you wanted to, because I thought it would look a little plain with just pearl white, so I changed my mind and did this. So I'm just taking those and overlapping them like scales. And then what we'll do is we'll squish it on good and proper, and then we'll trim it up. There we go, almost done. I think one more will work. There we go. Okay, now I'll just get that out of the way. Now what you want to do is you want to squish it against the grain so that you're going to create this mica shift. And don't worry if your collar's getting a little bit out of shape, that can always be fixed later after we've baked the backs. What you want to focus on now is just squishing this down. And make sure that you get a nice mica shift from it. Okay, and then you would just use a roller to flatten out the back. Or you could leave it the way it is if you wanted to. Doesn't have to be flat, but I prefer it to be flat. So I'll just take it in parts and gently flatten it out. Because the clay at the moment is so thin that it's flexible enough for me to do this. So long as you're careful, you should be able to do this without it getting upset with you. And then just curl these edges around so that you can trim them off later on. And I'll flatten out the back and trim the edges just like I did for the other one. Okay, so both of the collars now have their backing, as you can see, so they look quite nice. Before these go in the oven, you want to make sure that you've smoothed off fingerprints on the back if you're not going to texture the back, which I am not, so I want to make sure that they don't have any fingerprints on them. So I've already gone and smoothed the edges. You want to make sure to slide your thumb along here and just make sure the edges are nice. You also want to look at it from the front to see if it looks good, in case any bits missed your attention and are peeking out. So you want to attend to that, and then when you've done that, you can pop them in the oven for half an hour to bake. Now I just want to pop my logo in here. Just grab that. There. And now I can pop these into the oven. But I guess I am going to have to do that separately because I can't put both of them in at once. But you'll bake them for half an hour now. Okay. So this is out of the oven, and here's what the backing looks like. So now we want to sand it. Now I've already gone through my lowest grit, which is my 400 grit, and so now I'm just going to go up to my 600. And I'm just going to sand the back, the sides and the front up until my 8000, I do believe. And this will bring it to a nice satin sheen. And so you'll just do that. Now, when these came out of the oven, I put them on the necklace stand again and pressed them into the right shape and then sprayed water on it to get it to set. Okay. And you can see this backing looks quite nice. So once I've sanded it, it should bring out, it should start bringing out those mica particles and make it look even better. Okay, so here's what it looks like now the air's been sanded, and you can see there's a light sheen on it. And here's what the back looks like with a light sheen on it. So now you have a choice. You can either leave it like this with this kind of satin finish, or you can coat it with a layer of UV resin if you wanted to. You could also put just any normal varnish on it, like Varathane, if you wanted to. But I've chosen to coat it with a layer of liquid clay. And so here's one that I've done already. And you can see it has a lovely shine to it. And this is basically what your UV resin will look like if your light box is big enough to fit it in. But you can see here that we've got a lovely light shine to it. It's all very shiny. Now, I'm not going to show you how to do this technique because I do know that Debbie Carruthers has a video on how to use liquid clay already for a varnish, so I'll provide a link to that video and you guys can go check it out and then start using that as a varnish. So you can see how shiny this one is versus this one. So this one I'm going to go coat with liquid clay as well, and then I'm going to show you how to finish it up. And the back I've just decided to sand because the liquid clay is a little bit on the tacky side. It's not sticky, it's just kind of like cling wrap almost. It has that sort of texture to it, and so this isn't very good for the back of the bead. I've decided it's a little sticky, and so I like to sand the back and just buff it, and then it gives a really nice silky satin finish that looks nice and it feels nice against your skin. So personally I wouldn't put the liquid clay on the back if I were you. Okay, so I'll go coat this one and I'll show you how to finish up the project. Okay, so here it is now that it has been coated, and so you can see that it is nice and shiny now. So it's really easy to do. You do need a little bit of practice to get it right. It can be a little tricky to get right, but it's a lovely technique, and it does mean that you basically can get this nice glossy finish on your pieces. Okay, so now I'll bring over a drill, and this is just a handheld drill, and I'm just going to drill into the ends over here. There we go. And I'll do the same on the other side. Okay, now I'll just bring over a jump ring. Let me just open that up quickly and pop it through this. Just takes a little bit to get through. Okay, now I'll just grab a jump ring and pop it through that hole. There we go. Then I'll grab our length of chain. And close that jump ring up. There we go. And then I want to slide that opening back inside so that it's positioned inside there. And you want to do the same on this side. Okay. Then you can either use a jump ring for this, but these chain links open, so I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to pop each of my clasps onto one of these chain links. There we go. Pop that through, and there's your piece. Now you can make the chain tighter. I think I might actually want to make that tighter. So once you've got the chain on like that, you'll be able to see how much room you actually have. So you can either leave it like that and allow it to be able to expand like that, or you can cut the chain to length so that it's going to be pulling this in and keep it in shape like that. So you can see there, once the clasp's closed, you're not going to be able to expand this. Okay, and so that's basically it for your collar. So here's what the back looks like. It's got that nice oyster mica shift on it. And then here's what the front looks like, all nice and shiny and ready to wear. So I'll finish up the other one and then I'll show you the both. Okay, and so there we are. That is what they both look like now that they are finished. And so you can see the depth in this nice oyster watercolor now, because that translucent is cleared up and we've cleared it up with the varnish. And this end's really nice and clear as well. You can see all of those lovely little silk patterns. This end's a little bit less defined than this one over here. It's got a more silky, mysterious appearance to it, which I really like. And then you have the nice dragon scale mic shift on the back that's got a nice silky feel to it. So that's the one. And then this one, we have a larger piece of the oyster watercolor along with the paint drip effect, which I will be showing in the next tutorial. So please do check that out. I'll actually show you the veneers since I've already recorded that tutorial as well. And then here you can see the bubbles. These ones are a little bit more defined. And here you can see that silk. And on the back you can see that nice oyster mica shift. So I'm really happy with how these turned out. They look really nice. They remind me of the sea, so I'm really happy with how those turned out. So let me just go grab those other sheets that I'm going to show you how to make. See, here's the paint drip watercolor, which I'll be showing you how to create, and that's just what I decided to call it. You could call it something else if you wanted to. And I'll also show you how to create a fish scale watercolor. Let me just bring over this last other one, which is just a smaller version of this fish scale effect. So that's what I'll be showing in the next tutorial, and so you guys can use that in a different project if you wanted to. So I hope you're looking forward to the next tutorial. And so that's basically it for today, and so I do hope that you enjoyed the tutorial. I did enjoy making these collars and creating all of the veneers that went with them. It was a lot of fun, and so I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. And please do check out my Patreon account, as that is always helpful to me. I post lots of tutorials on there every single month. I post colour recipes, tips and all sorts of things, so be sure to check that out. And please do check out Etsy for the collar cutter. I have lots of different collar cutters, so you can get different shapes and create different collars if you wanted to. I have a whole bunch of other collars on there, and I also have my own texture stamps, so please do check that out, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.